President Uhuru Kenyatta has cancelled a trip intended to win support in the potentially vote-rich regions of Meru and Tharaka Nithi. The cancellation was announced by State House spokesman Manoa Esipisu on his Twitter handle, which read, and I quote, "Due to unavoidable circumstances, President Uhuru Kenyatta will not make visits to Tharaka Nithi and Meru counties, as had earlier been indicated." He went on to state that the president will now make a visit to Western Kenya later in the week, which will include Trans Nzoia, Bungoma, Busia and Kakamega counties. The region overwhelmingly voted for the Jubilee Alliance in the 2013 general election. NASA co-principals have made several vote-hunting trips to the region, which analysts say is warming up to the opposition National Super Alliance. Let's talk politics for a minute now. Dunstan Omari, our political analyst, joins me from our studios at the city centre of Nairobi. Dunstan, good afternoon. What do you make of this cancellation, if anything?
Good afternoon, Yvonne, and it's quite fantastic that we are now telling the people way back from the city centre that the president's action sparks a lot of questions that are arising. One, did the president cancel this trip based on intelligence reports that the ground has shifted? When you look at the opposition, they have been receiving a lot of tremendous support whenever they land in Tharaka Nithi and in Meru. Fundamental questions that the president was likely to face are, one, the Merus have always raised the question, just like their brothers, the Kisses, that they are always told tuko pamoja when they are hunting for votes. But when it comes to distribution of resources, the Merus become Merus. So I think that the president was advised that those are hard questions that were waiting for him when he arrives there. Number two, when you look at the Kibaki government, very many top-notch positions were given to the Merus. All permanent secretaries and very powerful cabinet secretaries and parastatal heads were in the Meru region. Nowadays, the Meru region that used to be in government is a shadow of itself. Yvonne, when you look at a third question, the way Kiraitu Murungi and the group mishandled the governor of Meru, Munya, and the others, which led them to form a party for the Merus called the PNU. There is a lot of acceptance of PNU in Meru. Two, the Maendeleo Chap party has made quite tremendous inroads in Meru. So, faced with this reality, the president found it very, he must have been advised that the ground is hostile. The better way is to avoid going there. But also it can be explained in another way that the president's handlers have told him, don't bother coming here. All the Meru votes are yours, so you better concentrate on Western Province because we have already locked all the votes around here. That, to me, is not the reason as to why the president did not go to the larger Meru region.
All right, but Dunstan, even if you were to talk about the ground perhaps shifting in Meru towards the opposition, the president has never shied away from visiting opposition strongholds in the past. He has made several trips to Mombasa County and the coastal region in general, which is largely considered to be an opposition stronghold. So why would he then not want to go into Meru, which perhaps is, starting to lean that way?
It is very strategic, and every political strategist will advise the president that if you are booed in your own territory, Meru is different from coast. If President Kenyatta and William Ruto lands in Meru and they get a reception that is hostile, the message to the whole country is, if he has been rejected in his hometown, remember prophets are not respected in their home counties. If the president got a booing and a bad reception in Meru, that would give the opposition more ground to fight. If he goes to Mombasa and Joe throws his tantrums, if he goes to Kisii and the Kisiis make their own issues, if he goes to Western, people will be saying he is going to look for votes that were not his. But the Meru region, all through from the Kibaki regime, from Uhuru Kenyatta's regime, have always voted the last man. Remember the famous Tharaka Nithi, where the votes come like the rivers are in that region. So the president could not land himself in a situation that could be embarrassing and that could give the opposition a lot of mileage to talk.
Okay. I think, yeah, that's an interesting point, wanting to not look like he's being booed in an area that largely voted for him in 2013. So then let's talk about that 2013 vote. Meru and Tharaka-Nithi were largely, his vote basket. So we're saying the ground is shifting. But why is it shifting? What is going on in Meru, Tharaka-Nithi? Why, is PNU still remaining strong? And why do we see perhaps Maendeleo, Chap and others making inroads into Meru? What's going on? I mean, beyond the fact that maybe they didn't get as many jobs in government as they did under the Kibaki administration, but what else is happening that is causing the ground to shift in Meru and Tharaka-Nithi?
This ground is not only shifting in Meru, the ground seems to be shifting the whole country because fundamentally people are asking very critical questions. What is there for us in terms of development that we have been in this political party all our life? Are roads better here in Meru than they are in Bondo? Are hospitals running better here than they are in Mombasa? Is water available for all the people here than it is in Kakamega? The question of Miraa, is Miraa doing better here and the markets available better than in areas where Kalonzo comes from in Siekuru? So people are asking fundamental question. What is it that we get extra that we support a particular political party? And that is the question the president is finding very hard to answer. Because remember, the narrative is that the development agenda for Jubilee went to areas that were perceived not to be pro the president. The narrative has been that he took development to Kisii, to Western, to Coast, and to the areas that didn't vote for him. So the people that have been voting for him are so worried that if indeed the president, we have supported him all through, we've carried him all through, the roads are impassable, Miraa has collapsed, farming is not there, our youth have no job, health facilities have collapsed, what do we vote for? This is an election that is shifting from the era of our son to the era that what development agenda do we see on the ground? And that is the challenge the president even faced in his own backyard in Mount Kenya region, where people were asking that we really do not care about if you took development on another region. Who assured you that you are going to win this coming election, that you'll have a second term? Suppose you lose the second term, are we not going to suffer? So people are really very agitated. And this is what my conclusion is, that the grounds are tilting. Anybody who thought that he has a particular location under lock and key, people are moving away from that type of elections, and people are now asking for tangible results based on the amount of votes that they have always given the president.
All right, but surely when you talk about Meru and one of the biggest economic mainstays, which is Miraa, for example, the president would have been deemed to have done well. If you recall, when the European markets closed and Somalia as well, it was the president that intervened and reopened at least the Somali markets. And then there was the money that was set aside. Was it about 1 billion shillings to cushion the Miraa farmers in that area? And some said that was a score for the president and, a loss for Governor Munya. In that respect, though, wouldn't the Meru people have something to be grateful for to President Uhuru Kenyatta?
The handlers of the president and the strategists of the president didn't read the question of the Miraa issue very well. The Miraa question was a diplomatic question. It was not a question about bailing out the Miraa farming. Bailing out Miraa farming with a billion is providing for fertilizer, providing for pesticides, and providing for labor and other issues. The issue of the Miraa was that it had been declared internationally a banned drug. Even in Tanzania here, the Miraa does not go there. So the question that the president's handlers failed to address is they could have done international diplomacy to regain and capture those markets. So the Merus have now realized that the amount that was given, 1 billion, could not solve the question whether that Mira can enter into Europe, whether that Mira can enter in other regions. So had they understood it to be a diplomatic question, had Ambassador Amina dealt with it instead of going to Ethiopia to look for the position she went for, then the Merus could be celebrating, because the Merus asking for a long-term permanent solution. The Mira cash crop has been the mainstay of the Merus all life. Giving them a billion bob is only cosmetic, and that is why the reception of the president is becoming really very problematic.
Okay,
on
but
the
surely...
Somalia market, how much?
Okay, but I was just going to say, sorry, Dunstan, but surely the issue of Mira and agriculture is a devolved function, so that would actually fall under the purview of the governor rather than of the president. But I want us to close our discussion for just a moment. So what does the president need to do, you know, to convince the Meru, or to sort of stem the tide of, you know, the Meru voters shifting in the opposite direction? What is that message he can possibly give them that would ensure that Meru stays a vote-rich region for the Jubilee Party?
It is quite late in the evening, because remember, Governor Munya had tried to go to Somalia to negotiate, and the national government clearly put it that issues of international trade fall squarely on the national government. Munya was vilified, and when Munya came back as a politician, he said, I went to look for a market, the national government has stopped me. Is this national government really interested in your welfare? Two, Munya has made the terrain very toxic to the president. The president has not dealt with Munya with the equal measure that he is expected to deal with him. The president's entry to Meru can change. That is today. If the president listens to the voices of the Merus, if the president shades off the commercial people from Meru region surrounding him. Remember, President Kenyatta is suffering from one problem. The people surrounding him rarely tell him the truth. The people surrounding him are after the tenders. The people surrounding him are after to make money out of that 1 billion. And therefore, if the president listens to people of Meru, the Merus have the people they respect as their leaders, and ignore the people who move to State House to peddle lies, the president will have a head start in Meru region. But if he still uses the handlers that he's using, the president is likely to get a challenge, not only in Meru region, but the whole country, because the people who lie to the president, I compare them to Joseph Kamodo. Kamodo could always tell Moi that Central is with him.
Okay, yes. I just want us to take a look at some of the feedback apparently we're getting on our discussion and have you respond to that. So here are some tweets that are coming in with respect to that. Well, this is what was said by the State House spokesman, talking about the cancellation of that trip. Do we have other tweets? Yeah. All right, so this is what the State House spokesman had to say. So now he is actually shifting his focus to Trans Nzoia, Bungoma, Busia, and Kakamega counties. So your final comment on that?
My position is that the president is better advised to lay off the strategies to who is misleading him. Look at who has announced the cancellation of that rally. The president could have done that. The deputy president could have done that. It could have given him, people of Meru could have seen some respect. You don't cancel such a political function by Twitter. Number two, the area is focusing. He is sure that he's likely to get more votes. But there are very many questions that are facing him. Where is the pan paper mills that was launched on the other time? Two, is Musalia Mudavadi and Raila Odinga putting a ring fence around the Luhya votes? I think that the president should sit and reorganize his strategy so that the very many mishaps Jubilee has gotten within a very short time There was a political party that was 1, 2. They have now allowed other 2 political parties to be formed free. There was a campaign team that was set in place. It was dismantled. 4, the issue about the smart card using. Is Jubilee having proper politicians or proper businessmen who are not really looking at the politics of the day? My take is that the Meru region could have been dealt in a manner that was a bit understanding for the Meru nation to agree with the president.
Okay, thank you very much. That's Danstan Omari. He's a lawyer and political analyst here with us at KTN News. Thank you very much for your time and for your insights here on Worldview. Of course, politics taking center stage here in the country as we head